Tzu Chi volunteers in Malaysia help subsidize the Rohingya refugee's surgical costs to help him regain his health. And we see how Taiwan's Department of Health looks to prevent the spread of dengue fever with the help of the public each year. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lee-Shioda. Thank you for joining us. We begin today's program in Malaysia, where we will hear about a Rohingya refugee who had been working in the country for 2 years before he discovered that he had colon cancer. Unable to afford any form of treatment on his own, a kind soul directed him to Tzu Chi, where the volunteers stepped in to help the young man.
This is Maud Noor bin Maud Hussein, a Rohingya refugee from Myanmar who has been working in Malaysia for 2 years. He recently fell ill.
I went to the hospital but didn't have the money. I went to the pharmacy in the hospital and the doctors told me I needed to have surgery, but it would cost 14,000 Malaysian dollars. I started to cry at the hospital. Where would I ever find that much money? Then I finally met an old man who drove me on a motorcycle to the Tzu Chi dialysis center, and he said to go inside and the people there would help me.
Since receiving the diagnosis of colorectal cancer, religious teachers and Tzu Chi volunteers have been by Maud Noor's side. They listen as the doctor explains the treatment procedure.
At this stage, the tumor must be physically removed. He will need to have an external colostomy bag to defecate.
Both of Maud Noor's parents have passed away, and he has no close family here. In a state of loneliness and grief, he tries to keep eating to stay healthy.
I feel much better. You have given me warmth. It feels like you are just like a mother to me. I feel so comforted that you are all caring for me like this.
After 25 rounds of electrotherapy, Maud Noor anxiously awaits the results and prays for a positive outcome.
We have so much gratitude. Thank you, Tzu Chi, for helping Maud Noor. Thank you for all of your help.
To help Maud Noor on his path to recovery, Tzu Chi has also arranged for him to stay in a care center where he will be fed 3 meals a day and where professional caregivers will look after him while he recuperates.
Next, we will remember an elderly care recipient from Myanmar who immigrated to Australia to live with her son back in 2002. Jung Ong recently passed away at the age of 92. Tzu Chi volunteers in Perth met her nearly a year ago and have been regular companions ever since. The love from the volunteers helped make her last year on Earth a happy one, and her son has even been inspired to join the Tzu Chi family.
The elderly Mrs. Ong had been suffering from various ailments for a long time and was quite depressed. When the Tzu Chi Perth Liaison Office heard, they did all they could to help bring some happiness back to her life, including taking her to get new dentures and helping with expenses to treat a fractured hip. With Tzu Chi, her family could breathe a sigh of relief. Originally from Myanmar, Mrs. Ong was 92 years old living in Australia when she first met Tzu Chi. Ever since volunteers began helping care for her, her mood has improved a lot.
My mom life has been changed. She happy when you come, preaching and teaching, spiritually.
Her son Nanda is a Catholic, but feels that the love of the volunteers crosses religious boundaries, and he has been joining his mother to participate in Tzu Chi activities.
I love everyone. You love everyone. Thank you.
Making a serious effort to speak, the elderly Mrs. Ong does everything she can to express her happiness to volunteers. Although she knows her body's strength is deteriorating, she hopes to see the volunteers one more time before she passes.
Her
son said, "Mother, before you go, who do you want to see?" And then she told him that she most wanted to see us. I think faith is like this, and just by giving a little bit of love, we were able to make this elderly woman very happy and make her life complete.
幸福有没有在我身边？怎么一直看不见？幸福有没有在你那边？让我看看他的脸。
Taiwan's New Taipei City, 22-year-old Wang Ruiting had a severe car accident in September of this year. His pelvis was greatly damaged and he was already in a state of shock when he was sent to the Taipei Tzu Chi hospital. Fortunately, he was resuscitated by the medical team and survived after undergoing surgery 7 times. Here's more on his story.
Mr. Wang is relying on his walking aid to move as he welcomes a medical team and shows them how his rehabilitation is going.
右脚已经可以单脚了。OK， 我就不用走太快了。
Though Mr. Wang survived after getting into a severe car accident 2 months ago, which almost crushed his pelvis, he still has to rely on the temporary artificial anus to defecate. The medical team is carefully examining his stoma.
骨盆的碾压伤大概
The death rate of pelvis fractures is approximately up to 40 to 60%. Since his health condition has been stable so far, we will try our best not only to save his life, but also make him physically healthy.
这个大厨，我爱怎样讲？餐饮历史故事。
As the doctor knows that Mr. Wang used to work at a restaurant, he gives him a book which is associated with restaurant management to encourage him to return to the workplace after recovering from his injury.
感动就是不管怎么样都会来看我，不管他。
I moved because he came to care for me at least once a day, whether he had to undertake an operation on that day or not. He even brought a book to me.
I think this is a kind of affinity. The doctor is like our own family.
All of Mr. Wang's family members are full of gratitude, and they have even seen this doctor as their own family. Mr. Wang has also promised to Dr. Zhou that he will invite him to test his cuisine to repair his care after he is able to work again.
Medical students from Tzu Chi University recently headed to communities in Hualien to make home visitations with Tzu Chi volunteers. With this experience, they have realized how difficult a life impoverished families have to live. They have also learned to care for people with compassion and love.
Students from Tzu Chi University are learning to care for people through home visits along with Tzu Chi volunteers. They are seizing the chance to visit impoverished families in their humanitarian class.
Through home visits, we hope that they can realize how disadvantaged the elderly people are. This way, they will be able to serve the public after they graduate. Through this experience, they can also learn to interact with seniors and kids, allowing them to form a good affinity with patients when they become doctors.
刘先生他们是从宜兰移民来花莲。
After hearing about the story of Mr. Yo, who fights cancer bravely, one of the students thinks of her ill family member, and she starts to reflect on herself.
One of my family members had once suffered from cancer. At that time, everyone felt depressed and helpless. Seeing Uncle Yo bravely face his difficulties was like seeing one of my family members.
I'm not sure about how much time I still have to accompany my mother, so I hope that I can do everything possible to accompany her. I think I did not care much for my mother over the years. I feel ashamed.
Through this experience, these students have learned to care for people with compassion and love, allowing them to become a benevolent doctor in the future.
What is the most dangerous animal in the world? Many may think of a lion or a tiger, but the Discovery Channel believes it is in fact the mosquito. Studies have shown that diseases transmitted by mosquitoes have claimed millions of lives in years past, including diseases such as dengue fever, malaria, chikungunya fever, and Zika virus. In recent years, the epidemic of dengue fever continues to spread in Southeast Asia, even impacting Taiwan.
With 3 consecutive typhoons, we were definitely on alert for dengue fever.
This is an abandoned military dependence residence in Tainan City, with one unoccupied residence after another. After entering these buildings, we see water everywhere, making it a breeding ground for disease vector mosquitoes.
Rain from the typhoon led water to collect here like a reservoir, so now we see these larvae. This place has been found to have containers with larvae, and according to the Communicable Disease Control Act, Article 25, they can be fined between $90 and $450.
When health authorities find mosquito larvae breeding areas in water containers, one might be surprised by the high fines that are levied, leading many to ask why this epidemic prevention staff is so concerned. Back in March of last year, when southern Taiwan was hit with a drought, many people began using containers on their doorstep to store rainwater.
During the drought, people collected water which was closely related to the outbreak of dengue fever.
The first half of last year, the outbreak was associated with the public storing water because of a drought. But in the latter half of the year, one typhoon after another led many people to forget to remove these water containers, which sparked the dengue fever outbreak. More than 20,000 cases were reported in Tainan and 19,000 in Kaohsiung, leading upwards of 40,000 cases to be reported in the south. Arriving at this traditional market, we find that water containers are virtually everywhere.
We continue to urge these stores to take these buckets back because the dengue fever situation is now very serious, but they don't respond to our pleas.
Most people know that water containers can produce larvae, but in fact, any amount of water collecting, such as near the tree roots or caused by tarps, can become a breeding area for infected vector-borne mosquitoes.
One mosquito can lay 100 eggs and can give birth some 3 or 4 times, potentially producing 200 to 300 eggs.
Whether it's man-made or naturally occurring pools, mosquitoes can lay eggs in all of these areas. Since the outbreak of dengue fever in the south last year, sanitation units have been actively disinfecting large areas. In some neighborhoods, no larvae have been found, but there are still a lot of mosquitoes. Epidemic prevention personnel are looking for ways to calculate the number of mosquitoes, with many cities resorting to installing mosquito ovi traps. A black plastic jar half filled with water, and then a paper towel is added, and then a cover with a small hole, which creates the simple mosquito ovi trap.
Female mosquitoes need blood to be able to lay eggs, and then they seek out a place to lay eggs, so we developed this mosquito ovipositor trap.
Epidemic prevention units place these ovi traps around the city and then return a few days later to observe the results from different regions, analyzing the density from different areas, completing a mosquito distribution network.
As long as there was an afternoon thunderstorm, all our effort over the first 2 or 3 months would be wasted. As long as the rain stopped, our colleagues would go to these areas to conduct an audit.
After the rain, prime larvae growing environment springs up quickly, though a shortage of health personnel has led to the development of a special epidemic prevention app.
Any dirty environment or area where water collects, you can use your cell phone to identify the location and then upload this info to our dengue fever epidemic control center.
In the past, dengue fever epidemics in Taiwan would incur a small epidemic every 4 years, with a major outbreak in 10 years, but the regularity of the epidemics in recent years has been broken.
We found these outbreaks may have some relationship with the climate change.
This year, there's been no dengue fever epidemic, which many believe means that the virus vector mosquito may have disappeared. In fact, this is not the case at all.
These dengue viruses might focus in small groups and wait till the temperature warms, and then the dengue viruses will travel northward.
What we are most afraid of is the localization of dengue fever, which has occurred in Southeast Asia, Singapore. If this happens, we may have to surrender to epidemics.
The greenhouse effect has enhanced microbial reproduction with the three-way relationship between mosquitoes, viruses, and humans. This is occurring both at home and abroad and potentially leading to a resurgence of dengue fever. With this in mind, there's no wonder the Discovery Channel bills the mosquito as the world's most dangerous animal.
We begin the second part of our program in Taiwan. More than 100 recycling volunteers from northern Taiwan attended a certification ceremony at Luzhou's Jingsi Hall in New Taipei City. At this event, many of them share their experiences of doing recycling as well as the benefits of adopting a meatless diet.
6:30 in the morning at Luzhou's Jingsi Hall, recycling volunteers from northern Taiwan, including old and young, or even those who suffer from mobility issues, are here for a special event. Doing recycling can not only safeguard Mother Earth, but as well help people stay healthy. 82-year-old Li Tiancheng feels very happy because he has finally put on some weight.
At the beginning, I ate one vegetarian meal a day, but now I eat 3 meatless meals a day. Before I started to eat veggies, I was 46 kilograms, but after adopting a meatless diet, I've become 59 kilograms.
People who are unable to see the world can also help protect our planet.
Since I've suffered from optic nerve strokes twice, I'm unable to do much, so people usually bring me a basket and a chair, and then I can start to do recycling. I enjoy doing it so much.
Huang Shouzhu is attending this event with gratitude.
I had nowhere to go and stayed at a temple. During that difficult time, a Tzu Chi sister gave me about $313 as consolation cash. At that moment, I was moved by what she did for me.
Whether to safeguard Mother Earth or to protect all living things, these volunteers do the recycling with joy to make the world a better place to live.
As Master Zhen Yan continues her tour of Taiwan, she recently visited Pingdong, where she presented red envelopes of blessing and wisdom to recycling volunteers. She also thanked them for their services to the planet because despite their old age, they continue to do recycling every day.
Tzu Chi volunteers are performing the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings on stage, and recycling volunteers also take part of the stage. Over 700 recycling volunteers gathered at Pingdong Jingsi Hall for the year-end ceremony. They received not only the red envelopes of blessing and wisdom from Master Zhen Yan, but also a lot of blessing because their recycling efforts are also protecting the earth.
这么真多台风，这么真多地动啦，啊，若无呢，就是干旱啦。这呢，就是因为咱人已经呢无照天理啦，所以天都无照价值啦。
Human greed is destroying the earth and causing the imbalance of the nature's four elements. These recycling volunteers are old, but they do recycling with their love for their descendants to protect the land. Master Zhen Yan praises their effort.
少年为家庭啊，老来为地球啊，为大地，为子孙，保护一个呢真水、真好的地球伫咧，这实在是足了不起的啊！
The old bodhisattvas not only do recycling, they also listen to the master's teachings so they can enrich their wisdom life.
Staying in Pingdong, next we'll meet Xu Fengying, who helped organize the Zhutian recycling station. As she sees the recycling station as her second home, she doesn't allow for the place to become messy and cluttered. Fengying's passion for environmental protection has also inspired some Tzu Chi Care recipients to join her in doing recycling as well.
The day is just starting, but the volunteers at the Tzu Chi Zhutian recycling station have already been working up a storm. And thanks to the skills of Xu Fengying, the station's recycling categories are organized well.
It's the same feeling the master has when she sees the recycling volunteers put their heart and soul into the mission. I'm quite happy to do my part, and if I don't participate, I start to feel under the weather. That's why I'm always doing recycling.
Fengying puts her whole effort into doing recycling, and she has even inspired Tzu Chi Care recipients into joining the recycling mission as well.
She wanted to know what she can do. I told her you can go to the recycling station to help and sort recyclables because Tzu Chi saved my family. By doing recycling alongside the volunteers, you can also pay back Tzu Chi. In the end, she ended up inspiring many others.
Interacting with the Tzu Chi volunteers here at the station, she has slowly changed her personality. She's much more gentle now.
然后也越来越好。
Treating the recycling station like her own home, Fang Ying hopes that all those who come to join her here can help actualize Tzu Chi's mission of environmental protection.
For Tzu Chi's year-end ceremony, Tzu Chi volunteers in Selangor, Malaysia are beginning their preparations so they will be ready when the event arrives.
Tzu Chi volunteers in Selangor, Malaysia, strike the tables like drums to practice for the performance.
I have no sense of rhythm, so I was wanting to give up in the beginning. But then I felt that this was a cultivation ground. If I just changed my thought and learned it attentively, I could master it.
Meanwhile, these volunteers are rehearsing for the Sutra of Medicine Buddha, but they too feel it is difficult.
Perhaps we're getting old, so our fingers are stiff. We can't move our fingers easily. I'll just practice more at home by watching the video and listening to the music.
For the year-end ceremony this year, everyone starts early to prepare for it, and that includes the kitchen volunteers.
We were creating cookies in the shape of a heart. Every person has love. In the past, I only loved myself, but not others. But after I joined Tzu Chi, I know to change my love for myself to greater love for others.
All kinds of the preparation work for the ceremony has begun. Everyone hopes the ceremony will close the year with a perfect ending.
In Taiwan, representatives of Tzu Chi's 4 major missions gathered to raise money on November 28th for international relief. They all hope to reaffirm the original aspirations of Tzu Chi through such an effort.
Many Syrian children have become orphans because of war in their country for several years. But one Tzu Chi volunteer adopted a Syrian child and named him Prince. This act of love has spread to Taiwan.
They name him Prince because they want love to grow in his heart, so it can eliminate hatred. I feel this is quite important. Children should grow up with love, so they can eliminate hatred.
There are still many orphans like Prince, so Tzu Chi's 4 major missions started to appeal to the public to adopt 300 coin banks. The foundation hopes everyone can put their love in the coin banks as their children.
Because they are in that condition, we should give them some help. It's not much, but we can send love and warmth to them.
The act of love will be held once again on December 23rd, the day before Christmas Eve. The foundation hopes everyone can give to help protect innocent children from war.
Environmental conservation is not only a lesson to be learned through textbooks or a motto to be spoken. At the end of the program, let's see how the students of the Taipei Zhongshan Dathong District's parent and child class actualize these concepts in real life. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.